have fun. You know, do something different. It grew, and it grew. I mean, think about it. Here's an unemployed actor over 37 years ago, sitting in his apartment, or sorry, flat in England, writing something that 37 years from now, 37 years forward, is still going on all over the world. That's pretty powerful. Sometimes when my parents go, "Why do you do what you do?" It's timeless. And it's like, I mean, we have an awesome Eddie, which is kind of cute. It's Eddie in Colombia. It's like, so it's nice. Say hi, Eddie. Hi, Chloe. For those that have never seen Rocky Horror Picture Show, Eddie is actually the Bruiser. He's actually was in the movie played by a guy named Meatloaf, who's actually a really good rock star with an incredible range. And Columbia was actually played by a lady named Little Nell, who was actually casted in the first production, and then she became part of the movie, and then went into shock treatment and other things.
What other things?
Other things. Actually, she went back to yes, sir.
Yeah, she opened a nightclub in New York City that became extremely popular.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at the actors in Rocky, and aside from Tim Curry and Susan Sarandon, aside from Tim Curry and Susan Sarandon, really, and Meatloaf, obviously, but he was famous when he got there. Wait, what happened to them? I mean, you know, like Charles Gray, like he's in shock treatment, and that's about it.
Well, he's got a neck, so I mean.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can only hire. I mean, Richard
What's so
O'Brien
much you
doesn't
can
mind
do?
if you don't have a neck, but Hollywood is really against the necklace and the necklace. there's a bad neck pun in there somewhere. I just don't have the time to figure it out right now. But I just the criminal. Yeah, that's Charles Gray.
Barry Bonds.
What's Barry Bostwick? He went on to do Spin City and a couple episodes of Scrubs, which is nice. But I
And he
mean,
has cameos occasionally on
yeah,
shows.
Cold Case Files. There's actually an episode of Cold Case Files where someone gets murdered at a Rocky Horror Shadowcast, and the killer, not to ruin it for you, but the killer is Barry Bostwick. So it's like, yeah, it would be him. Out of all the people, it would be him. The woman who plays Magenta, who likes Monty Python? Who's seen Monty Python and the Meaning of Life?
Who?
There's a scene where Patricia Quinn, Patricia Quinn. There's a scene where John Cleese is teaching a class of kids, and those of you who've seen the movie probably remember it. And it's sex education, and he starts talking about sex, and he explains how to do it, and then he demonstrates with his wife. He pulls down the chalkboard, and there's a bed there. The woman that comes in is Patricia Quinn. It's Magenta. If you watch that movie again, the woman that plays his wife is Patricia Quinn. Which, it's funny that she gets naked in that movie, but not in Rocky, considering the two movies. But yeah, it's such a famous cult movie, and it's so big. You just think, aside from Susan Sarandon and Tim Curry, there'd be a little bit more of a diving board into the business from Rocky, but I guess not.
Actually, a lot of them went back to doing theater.
Yeah. I mean, if that's your passion, that's cool. But
Well, that's
I mean,
what they did.
yeah. I mean, if your passion is theater, but if there was anybody, basically, if there was anybody looking to springboard their movie career, they picked the wrong movie. They picked a great movie to love and be in, but if that was their, I'm gonna go places, pa, they're wrong. Severely wrong.
It worked okay for Susan Sarandon.
Well, yeah, Susan Sarandon and Tim Curry, but if you were,
he got typecast, Tim Curry. I remember in an interview he said it was so hard for him to find work because everyone just kept seeing Dr. Frankenfooter.
yeah, I mean, they wanted Tim Curry to come back for the sequel whenever they were talking about it, and they asked him if he would do it, and he said no, because he doesn't want to do it anymore. For that specific reason, he got typecast, and he couldn't find anything else. He said he's moved on to a different part of his career now. He's in a different stage of his career now.
Oh, I loved it in Legend.
Big word, sorry.
Yeah. Obviously, it's funny when Legend came out. I was actually at a cast member's friend's house, and on his wall he had the poster of Legend. And I was thinking, wait, Legend and Rocky Horror Picture Show, the movie came out right around the same time, parts of it, and I'm like, boy, England really hated him. He's like, he's playing the devil and a transvestite in the same movie. And then a couple of years later, he was in Kinsey. Whoever saw the movie Kinsey? The Kinsey Report, the movie about the guy who studies sex. Okay, his job in that movie is an abstinence professor.
He's the voice of the Black Smog in Fern Gully.
that was the first time I was ever introduced to Tim Curry was through Fernville.
Yeah, and he's also
He's the butler in Clue.
the butler in Clue, which I freaking love him in Clue.
There's the Grand Wizard and Worst Witch.
In
If he
old
still showed up at
What?
my door in his Frankfurter outfit, I don't give a crap if it's anymore. I knew we'd get jumped so fast. It's disgusting.
Dad, motherfucker.
Same here.
I haven't.
Who's the dad in Phineas? Oh, no, that's Richard O'Brien.
Yeah, Richard O'Brien's the
Tim
dad.
Curry was the dad in the Wild Thornberries.
Yeah.
That was my child.
Smasher. But yeah, I have an
God,
old
so much
like
said.
jewel case CD video computer game, like from like the early '90s, and it's computer generated, but there's full motion actors in it, and Tim Curry plays Dr. Frankenstein in the game, and it's so obscure. I found it for like $1 in a bin at like Goodwill or something, and I played it, and freaking Tim Curry's in this game for no reason. It's like, and it was late. It was like the early '90s. Like he had his career by then. Like what was it like his cousin was making the game or something? What? How did he end up getting roped into this? Like the thing is a cheap piece of crap, to be honest. I've seen so much better games than
I
that.
didn't find it on
They paid
YouTube,
him.
that clip, because I
He
remember
paid
I'd
him
seen it
well.
once and I found
Yeah.
it on YouTube
Yeah.
someplace.
On
and it
the
was
same
like, wow.
note,
On those that have actually seen Rocky, have you ever been involved in a Shadowcast? No? No?
I've never been to any of them.
You never been to any of the casts? Okay.
You guys come
So
tonight
the first
then.
time I was part of SuperCon last year.
Cool.
So I got the updates about the anime, and as soon as I saw the Rock and Roller Shadow Cast, I told him, because he was going to take me to the one near our house. They do it every second Saturday. And I'm like, no, let's do the one at Animate instead.
yeah,
Yeah.
do it.
Yes, sir.
I've seen quite a number of performances with Shadowcast. I've never been a part of it, but I've been to a whole bunch of them, including at the 8th Street Theater
Oh, nice.
in New York City. The original.
So with shadowcasting, it's I would say because who's ever done theater in this room, like any kind of theater, anything from stand up to like big dramas. One thing we were talking about yesterday, we did a Dr. Horrible panel, and I was thinking this, I'm like, being a director working on regular theater is easier because when you do a shadowcast, you have your lines, your costumes you have to make awesome, but you have to be stuck with a movie. And like if that character's blinking, you try to blink. If they're moving, it's like there's a big, huge tether coming out to you
Yeah, I mean, like you're stuck on rails, really, because
the whole time.
when you're doing a stage production, if you can't find the jacket that goes over your shirt,
That's
well,
why you hire
then
Jenny.
your character just didn't wear that jacket for that scene. Or if you know the purpose of your next line but not the exact words, you can
Fudge
make
it up.
change it a little bit and make it sound like your character's saying it, but change it from not the exact script, but you still get the point across.
But with that, you get a diehard fan, somebody that actually knows their Rocky Horror stuff.
No, I'm talking about stage acting.
Oh, regular
That
stage
stuff.
acting? Yeah.
Shadow casting, you have a picture-in-picture comparison to what you're doing at all times. So if you don't have the same amount of buttons, or if you don't step where you're supposed to step, if you trip, everyone knows that you just screwed up. Which most audiences are pretty nice, and as long as you give them a good time, they're not gonna get all pissy about it. But
Or if you get your pants stuck down around your ankles and penguin hop across the stage, that goes over really well too.
there's that. Or if you elbow your co-star in the head and then fall over. That was fun. I was actually playing Eddie that night, and I elbowed my Columbia directly in the head, spun around, and then fell on my ass. Yeah. I was dressed as Han Solo, so there's that.
My first lead out was Brad, and literally did not take my shoes off before I went to take my pants off at the stripping scene, and then my feet got stuck, and then they tried to rip the pants off of my feet, and we broke my shoes, but they still wouldn't come off, and so I penguin hopped across the stage in time to the soundtrack, still got in the elevator, and then had to proceed to get untangled. It was hilarious, to say the least.
There was a beach night where I was playing Rocky and I was wearing arm floaties and Magenta could not get it off of my arm and I was stuck up there trying to yank my arm out of this arm floaty. He's already running, so I just ripped it off and had to go.
It's like let's see. Okay, since everybody told their side stories. Okay, as a director, you hope for the best for your cast. You want them to learn their lines, want their costumes to go well. But my first time doing Rocky ever, I was exhausted. I fell asleep in cast meeting. I was sitting there like in that that mid meditation state, like, okay, this is nice. At the time, one of the former directors and one of the heads that started our cast, Cheesy on the Outside, was sitting near me. And Ed, who is a very loudmouth, crazy, kilt-wearing, superhero-loving director, who is like more profane than I could ever try to be. I mean, basically, he makes Kevin Smith look like a Catholic schoolgirl that doesn't want anything. Like, wow, okay. I fell asleep, and he goes, "Dinner scene, Columbia," because we divided our cast with dinner scenes in the middle to give the leads a chance to dress. Do the dinner scene in the middle, and then the floor show, because it's basically like 3 acts. There's what happens before dinner scene, what happens after dinner scene, and then the dinner scene. I'm falling asleep. I'm rocking back and forth, and Eddie goes, "Dinner scene, Columbia," and Ted goes, "Ashwin, yes?" And it's like, "Good, you're doing it." I'm like, "What did I say yes to?" He's like, "You're dinner scene, Columbia next week," and I'm like, "What? No, yeah, you are." I'm like, "Dang it." So that was my first time ever performing with dinner scene, Columbia, which was like one thing. I said, "Who's my Eddie?" It was the director. I'm like, oh, shit. So, if those that have seen the movie, dinner scene happens, Columbia gets up, she goes to scream, the door closes. I sat there. Eddie's waiting. I'm looking at him. I'm like, wait, I need to be back there because Columbia's going to come down and start yelling at Frank. I'm going to go right now. I don't want to miss my cue. I completely forgot there was another song in the middle. And I'm leaning against the wall waiting for the last Columbia cue, and I'm like, wait. What am I doing here? I hear the director go, "Where the heck did Joseph go?" He's like, "I don't know." It's like, "What?" And he's like, "Still." I'm like, "Oh, Lord." One of the cast members jumped up and did it for me. And the name of the cast is Interchangeable Parts, and that's where they get the name from. Like, any given moment, somebody could jump in and help out, or like 1 week he could be playing Brad, next week he could be playing Frank. It doesn't matter. If you can do it, get the costume, go for it. That's how we looked at it. Well, I came down and I felt so bad. I'm like, I was actually almost crying, and he's like, "I'm so bad, I suck." He goes, "What'd you do?" Dude, the first time acting, you're my Eddie, and I made a mistake. He goes, "Did you have fun?" Like, no, I missed it. I totally missed my cue. He goes, "Did you have fun?" I'm like, "Yeah, except for the missing because I didn't ask if you missed a cue. I know you missed a cue. I'm the director." I'm like, "Yes." He goes, "Good. Good. You gonna do it again? Gonna sing Columbia eventually? No. You gonna miss the cue? No. Good. Did you have fun? Yes." And for me, at that point, it was so freeing realizing I can make a mistake and get this get better. But the most important thing is having fun, is to enjoying what you're doing, enjoying it for the audience sake, just throwing it way out there. And like just another thing he came up with, the other term was going for the suck. Just like dare to suck. Dare to suck. Go for it. And he also works with a Ren Fair cast, and he says the same thing to the Ren Fair cast. When you're doing it, just go for it. If you realize that halfway through your part you're saying the wrong line or the wrong thing, just keep going. But so much passion behind it, the audience will love it. Like when Jenny's shoes and they come up, she just went for it. And ironically, on her butt, because it was an 80s night, and she wears water on her panties. It was like the audience loved it because it was a couple more seconds to see the butt jumping around, and it fit. The audience thought she planned it. You guys don't know. We're not going to kill you unless you come to a panel.
I can't tell you how many times a cast member, or even myself, has come up to me, not come up myself, but you know what I'm saying. You get the idea. Has come up to me after a performance and went, I can't believe I did that bad. I missed so much. I did so bad. While the audience is still cheering. Like, we're our own worst judges. Like, really. But the biggest part is just making the audience have fun. And if you do that, you're golden. As long as they have fun watching you, as long as they enjoyed what you did, just because your head is laser focused on, I have to get this right, and I have to smile here, step here, I have to do this hand gesture. The audience just wants to have fun. That's the only reason they're there, is to have fun and watch something they love. People doing something they love. And if you do that, if you make them have fun, you've won. That's the whole point of it. but we still after performances where we don't feel that good about I can't believe I screwed that up. I'm the worst person in the world. Really? Why are they clapping? Why are they laughing?
Mhm.
Why did we get another gig? Why do we still get to do this? Because we made them have fun, and that's what counts.
And I think that's why it's lasted over 35 years. The world needs to laugh. Basically, it's like we're going through our stuff. You know, it's just like every time we've done a panel, it's just like, what's the theme? I don't know. And I stopped trying to create one. Just like, no, let's see what conversation happens. For a director, one thing I really love doing is I love picking on my cast members. I love picking on my captains.
Wait, what?
No, really?
Seriously?
Yeah. One of the ones that's happened over the last year is when Jenny was new to IP. We were going through costumes, and I didn't know she was that passionate about costumes. And we had an argument, I think it's still going on, about Frank's sideburns.
We were
Now,
not winning.
for those that have never seen Rocky Horror Picture Show, I'm sorry. You might not. You'll get it later on when you come up and watch the movie at 11:30. But Frank has these amazing mutton chop sideburns and this big, huge Frank afro. Kind of like that, but like just more black and complete. But it is sideburns because the movie happened in the 70s. People had sideburns, and we would go back and forth for like weeks, arguing. It's a right angle, left angle. It's like she was like, I was like, no. According to the film, at like one point, you know, there's something called perfect. She's like, no, look right. Yeah, it's all about having once again fun. And it's like, no, it's right here. See
It was an
this
argument between whether they were Eddie sideburns or Frank sideburns.
Because to me, I thought they were close to
sideburn
Eddie's.
shopping because that's important. No,
Yeah.
no. Totally.
Yes.
Totally.
No.
It's important.
Okay.
Jenny did a dude backcountry. Yes.
No,
Yes.
come in,
Wait.
come in, sit down.
Can I be your Samoan?
Do you have your proper? No, wait, dude, you're not wearing white shoes. What about the blood in the bar? And all the lizards.
Where's the suitcase?
They got stuck in the airport.
Dude, that movie rocks, by the way. Yeah, I'm glad you came back because I was actually saying how cool it was that you were here recently when you left. It's like, wait, was he really here? I don't know. Maybe I was on ether or something.
This guy's good. He's staying here.
Dude, it's awesome. It's like, have you seen Rocky Horror Picture Show before with a live cast?
Again, Brad the asshole and Jen the bitch.
Yes, there's Jen. So once again, who's never seen the movie ever? Because Mrs. Smiley, never. Okay, 11:30. What are you doing? You have to bring him out to see how old your son?
He's 15.
Okay, he's old enough. If not, have you had the talk? Have you had that talk? Okay, good. He can come upstairs. Jimmy, has he had the talk? Yes. We're doing a live Rocky production.
Wait, what talk?
The talk.
Well,
I'll
the
talk. Birds and the bees.
So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, the versions.
The,
So,
the ship and the dock.
Well, when a mommy and a daddy and a daddy and a daddy and a daddy and a daddy
wait, that sounds like a cast.
love each other very much.
I was always a sheep. You shag one sheep and nobody
Sometimes there
knows.
is a sheep on cast.
So anyway,
They're softer than your blow-up doll and quieter than your wife.
actually, that came when we did one night
White trash.
a white trash night, and Jenny was Brad as a sheep.
Oh.
With
Yes.
a sign that said all of that.
Yes. I was a very drunk Krim. For those that have never seen it, once again, Krim is the adult in the movie. There's actually some casts that don't use a Krim. They let Krim be the Krim on the screen because that's the adult. And it's like everything that's happening is the whole world of like coming of age and experimenting and rock and roll, and the adult figure was like, that's bad. And it's like, no. So some casts, that's why they don't have a Krim. There's a cast up in New York City that's in Manhattan. And for years, the director's like, no, we're not doing a Krim. I want this to be more fun. And this one guy's like, no, I want to do a Krim. He goes, you make me the perfect Krim costume? You do it. The kid actually made The Office, like all the books and hand-painted stuff. And he brought it, he goes, like this? He goes, okay, we'll do Krim. And so he's in one spot. And but every detail that was in Krim's office, he did. He had the double vents on the desk, the eagle, all the pictures, the right glass. That's his favorite character. So he stood the whole entire night and did Krim. For those, once again, Krim is the narrator. One of the things that we were discussing in one of the last panels was, I think every character in Rocky has a natural evolution, like what we go through. Like if you look at Brad at the beginning, he's a smart science kid, wants to do things right, loves his girlfriend, and he goes through his growth, and he wrestles with it. And even he wrestles with his own sexuality through the whole thing. At the beginning, when Frank comes out, he plays with his hair. Like, usually people don't do that unless they're like, that's really cute, you know? And he looks at Janet like, did you just see what I did? You know what I mean? Janet starts off the same way, and then we know what happens to Janet.
I have 2 cents.
You have 2 cents?
I have 2 cents.
2 cents?
Well, I have 3, but I'll just put 2 in.
And a half penny? Go ahead.
See, this is another thing that I love about the shadow casting, is because when you join a shadow cast, you join a group of people who have watched a movie innumerable times and have studied it and looked at it and stared at it and watched it, and it's ingrained in their head. And you usually, at that point, have also done that. Usually, people who like the movie join, that's why they do it. But, so you meet this group of people and you talk to them about, oh, well, this character does this, and this is, and you go, really? Because that's not what I thought. And you start to realize just how subjective art is in movies, and you start to learn how people pick up on different things, how different little things people take different ways, and how characters in movies, well, characters in general in any kind of story, how much people get out of them for different ways. Like, there's just so many different ways that you can look at one thing, and you really start to understand that your viewpoint isn't the only one that exists, you know, and that's kind of rare. But yeah, I get
sideburns.
I get something completely different out of Brad. Well, I mean, not completely different, but I get something different out of Brad than that. But it's subjective. Like, that's the great part, is learning that other people see that exact same thing you saw. There's no change in it. It's a movie. It happens the same way every time you watch it. Trust me, I've watched it a couple times trying to see something different. It all happens the same way. But people can look at it and still come to a different conclusion, and it's really cool to learn that and talk to people about it and discuss it, because you're all crazy bastards who have seen the movie hundreds of times.
Yes.
There's actually 2 different versions of the movie.
Yep.
Well, yeah. Well,
with the ending, the closing song.
Yeah. That in the original UK version, which we always do, we never cut out super.
I like superheroes. One of my favorite.
Yeah,
Superheroes
it's
is
my
my
favorite
favorite song in
too.
the movie. Simply because of the character, the weight it has on the 2 characters.
Yeah.
But what originally happened was, in the UK there was an extra song at the end, and the American, this is for people who don't know, the American, what?
It's Perceptions, 2 songs. Every once in a while is also cut. That's Brad's song to Janet. After he shags Frank and realizes how much he really loves Janet,
Yeah.
it's really awesome, sad blue song.
Yeah, but it's not.
But it's a cut song.
I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, but it was cut. But it wasn't
cut.
the difference between the 2
But
versions.
next season, it was cut.
Yeah, it was
They took
cut.
it out.
It was.
They
It
took 5
was
minutes.
not.
The
Yeah, but,
superheroes was cut from the American version.
Right.
So hot, he's right.
yeah.
Wow.
I like you. You're getting a front row
You
seat.
need to take on the road with you.
You're gonna be my plant from now on, okay? Every con, you just come around and say you're right the entire time I talk, okay? But yeah, for those who don't know, the American producers who released the film here thought that song made the movie too depressing, which my opinion is, well, too fucking bad. That's the movie. That's what the movie is if it's depressing, it's depressing. People watch it. Too bad. But yeah, so if you get the DVD release, like every DVD release now has it where you can choose which one. Get the UK version, because that song is really important to Brad and Janet's character.
To Jimmy, it's very important. It's Jimmy sensitive. Who's ever seen Kevin Smith? The comedian Kevin Smith. I know you've seen Kevin Smith. Okay, Jimmy and I can be Kevin Smith. So what we're going to do is we're going to slide on to the other 2, because right now they're being like silent Bob. So, Jenny, tell us about costumings. No, Jenny hates microphones. You were on the panel. She hates them.
Yeah, I was okay.
Yes.
You'll
because-
never see me do karaoke. Ever. 1, because those are scary. 2, I don't sing that great. And 3, it sounds worse with that. So,
Let's get her drunk.
Yes.
It's a small beer.
oh. And it doesn't take much. Lightweight.
It doesn't.
We'll talk.
And you
We'll
think
talk.
fun drunk? Not always. No.
So Jenny on our cast, she does a lot of the costume work. Obviously, the whole argument with hair and other stuff. So Jenny, tell us about Rocky costumes. Miss Sue Blaine.
Okay, this woman had to have been on acid when she was making a lot of her stuff. Some of it,
She was getting it off.
like Magenta's dress for dinner scene, like the whole see-through thing that looks like what the crap is that. It was like, oh, we should probably make something for this scene. Oops. Hey, we have this fabric. Let's put a couple sequins on it and wrap it and call it a day. That's pretty much what happened.
Like legit, that's what happened.
But
Yes, and the Easter Bunny is still real.
pretty much, yeah. But it's ridiculous how people have studied these costumes. Like you can hey
These
Janet
people?
Pink dress on Google and you will
These
pull out like 5 million different lookups on how to find it. And analretentive.com is a really great one. They've broken down stuff and they have everything. However, there is a 7th button on that pink dress that they do not list. I slowed it down.
These people actually says once again.
Don't misspell that because anal representatives is a completely.
Also
That would be the Republican National
And you
Party.
feel a little dirty when you're typing and you're like, anal ret. Should I just stop there and make people wonder?
Anal read. It's
But,
just a bunch of answering
but,
anal stuff.
Huh?
It's analread.com. It's just a bunch of people answering questions about anal stuff.
You know this
Thank you
how?
for researching that for me.
Well, I assume.
But yeah, no, there's been an extensive amount of research that went into these costumes, and all of these crazy people like myself that will slow it down and screen cap things and go out and look for that perfect like prim jacket fabric because it's kind of like that suede, not normal fabric texture with the broad closures and all sorts of craziness. It's 7-button vest that you can't find. Try and find a 7-button vest, it's white. But she had some really, really neat ideas when it came to that, and hunting for them is a beast. Especially Frank shoes. It's a style of shoe that is not so popular anymore. It's a 2-piece shoe. And eat your toes and eat your heels, and it leaves a lot of rest in the middle for anyone's baby. So trying to find those with big chunky heels on them is the bane of my existence at this present moment. I cannot find them. And if I do find them, they're from like Brazil and they only go up to size 8. These are not 8. So I don't know what to do about that. But yeah, then people will sit there and be like, no, Frank's anklet is 3 rows of staggered rhinestones. They're like, no, just use the ones that line up. But it's staggered, and like people get fights, man. And
It's intense.
I think it's
It's intense.
If any of you want to come to St. Pete and hang out with us when Jenny goes costume shopping, dude, I need some of the stuff that you have in your suitcase. Trust me. Yeah. Okay, she walks in. Okay, who's seen Tim the Two-Man? Taylor? People walk in like, hey, Tim. We walk into Home Depot even. Hi, Jenny. What do you need today? Like piping, wire, cable. Like, yeah. She's like well known, just like all like. What are you making now? Which is really cool because it brings life back to people that would never ever see what we do. Yeah.
I had a fabric store that I go to with a giant pack of printouts for another cast that I'm on, and I was like, hey, I can't find any of these fabrics. And she's like, I'll check my distributors for you. And so I just left her this pile of things, and then she scanned them for me and sent them out into the nether regions of the internet looking for it. Came back unsuccessful. However, the fact that she came and looked for me was fantastic. But yeah, basically because you are stuck with one movie that you're shadow casting, and you have a giant screen telling people like you screwed up, people definitely try and match as close as humanly possible. And you can find stuff, but it takes a while. And, like, people will search to the ends of the universe to find it. And it's like the pair of Dr. Horrible goggles is discontinued. You know somebody has them, and you will buy them off them if you can find it. So that's how I feel about it. And then you get the different versions when you're trying to look at the movie. Discrepancies in color or blurry, and you kind of have to guess. You're like, do this round? Do they have a rim on them? Like down to like one little button, like right here. People know, like they know. I had the class ring, and I was very excited about it when I found it in our hands. It's detail not everyone would notice, but like the fact that I knew about it, I was just like, yay! And like a lot of Rocky fans, die hard or not, are trying to do the same thing.
One of my friends has been doing Rocky for 22 years as a director and actor and what have you. He goes to New York a couple times a year. When Jen was actually trying to work on building the Frank Corso for dinner scene, I'm like, we need to find this. And he gave back a booklet of like, this is what it really is. It's like some things are so hard to find, but like people like Jenny are so passionate about it, and it just brings it to and like people go, where did you find that? It's part of the dialogue, being like
There's
Jenny.
actually a book that was published in Germany that is big, I think it's Big Rock, and it was like the 2005 book. It's got some just absolutely lovely images, and it's like up close and personal costume, textures, seams, buttons, like you can capture in the pictures because it was really well photographed, and like that book's like $130. That's why I don't own it, because it's ridiculous, and there's not very many of them left. Like I'm dying to get my hands on this book so I can sit there and drool over every seam line in all these costumes because I want to recreate them all.
Yes, sir.
I can make a suggestion that if you go on Pirate Bay, you can most likely torrent it.
Probably not.
Hey, we don't do that here.
We don't.
I do. No shame.
Email me the link.
No shame. There you go. I spend all of my money costuming their show. I would not feel bad about it.
So, Natty, tell us, what would you like Natty to talk about?
Sex.
She's the quietest one.
Drugs.
Sex.
Rock and roll.
Rocky.
Zombies!
Amanda Palmer.
You shut your mouth, sir.
Amanda Palmer.
By the way, 11:30, come see us upstage and see how right Jimmy is. Bye.
Please don't give him that ego.
His girlfriend